lockers are too small to hold a large pair of running shoes, let alone a gym bag or a winter coat. Something's got to be changed. The entrance from the gymnasium to the locker room, when the door is opened, exposes anyone entering or leaving the shower. I didn't know we were running a nudist colony. Aerobic studio is much too small. You guys saying it's the same size, it's not. The previous facility would allow about 30 people to exercise. You're lucky if you can get 15 people into that one. Not to mention the fact you created a fishbowl that has 3 glass walls on it. Earlier in the year, Al Downey held a meeting at which he stated that the project was on time and on budget. What the hell happened?
The growth of the community has continued. We've been playing through the construction, clinics have gone on, we've dealt with no heat, fumes in the building, no change room facilities, traveling through the arena to get to the freezing cold washrooms. Despite the huge budget and the budget overruns, the development of the AFLC has seen no positive changes to the squash facilities. A couple of weeks ago, I had to clean up and disinfect spit from the corner of one of the courts. It was growing black mold in one area, fresh spit in another. We reported this immediately to staff. It's a health hazard. It wasn't dealt with. The next week, it was still there. We had to disinfect it ourselves. There is still exposed electrical in the ceiling, and as far as I know, in the men's room as well as the women's, there's exposed wiring within arm's reach of somebody walking through the hall or through the doorway. Yeah.
I'm really concerned about accessibility issues, and I don't think, from what I can gather, that this has been dealt with. There is, to me, absolutely no reason why we can't use the back door of the building. There's 4 handicap parking spots out there. They're not being used. Unbelievable to me that no more consideration hasn't been given to people with special needs. I'm less handicapped than most people, but I still have my issues. And there's so many people that come, they've either just had surgery, they come here for rehabilitation, and we have a therapy pool at the one pool, and we have the hot tub at the other, but I mean, there still needs to be done. And the accessibility issues are awful. And
security or safety around the complex. Now, this being focused mainly on the youth, which means we're going to have more youth coming to that complex. In other words, more pedestrians. I haven't seen a sign posted on the entrance of the driveway from industrial telling motorists to slow down, be aware about pedestrians. I've had numerous of incidents where people had to step back. Mom holding her 2 kids had to step back onto the curb. Then the other issue is the skateboard park. Great concept for our youth. Who's monitoring that? My solution is put up a fence around the skateboard park. Keep the kids off the sidewalk, which is meant for pedestrians.
We would like to talk about the Boomers class, the Boomers ABC class, which is a large class. We use equipment, and therefore I understand that we're not allowed in the gymnasium because we would have to move our equipment, which is understandable. But nevertheless, we are stuck into what we call the studio, the new studio. Definitely is too small, and people are refused. We have to scram 2-3 days in advance to try to register by telephone to make sure we have a space. It's very hot in that class. There's no way that open windows fix the problem. But the basic reason is that we have to call in more than 2, sometimes if it's possible 3 days in advance. We should be able to wake up in the morning and say, hey, I feel like going to a fitness class, and be sure that we can get in.
And it's not a matter of space being the issue. It's a matter of the design up front making a decision about where these things are going to go. This is a building that is clearly all about function. The building has to function. So why was a functional requirement study not done prior to the plans being drawn up? It's always cheaper and easier to proactively address a problem before it happens. Why were the members of Club Aurora not consulted with surveys prior to planning, both hard copies and online?
Excuse me, please.
For our feedback in what was already working and what could be improved in the renovation. Why were the fitness instructors, both in the pool and in the gym, not consulted as to what would be the ideal situation, space allotment, and configurations in which to do their job? They know better than anybody else what was needed in this building in order to make it function, and no one was asked.
So it's not just a few radicals speaking about wishes they would like to have in a leisure center or gym facility or swimming pool facility. But it does go to show that there's been an oversight, lack of public meetings to pass the original plan for this project. And Mayor Daw, I think the buck does stop at your desk, and I know you sent me an email saying, well, according to my experience, projects do run over budget, and you find things to do as you go along. But that's your money, not mine. And this is the taxpayers are paying for this facility, and if you have a private cottage being built, then that's your concern. The number of disability spaces is another issue, and I've heard tonight that this has been brought up. And you would think under a renovation, which means improvement, that there would have been more disability spots put in.
I was at a meeting, September 2013, that Mr. Downey chaired at the AFLC, and in that meeting he said that no projects that he's done have ever gone over budget or over time before. So he can't say that anymore. But also, what I'd like to say is, he also said, when he was asked about the size of the fitness studio, he said it would be the very same, and we wouldn't have to worry about the numbers, everybody would get in. Also, I think you need to frost the glass, because we all call it the fishbowl, because it is one. Also, you need to put some blinds up. We're wearing sunglasses to work out in the morning. It's ridiculous. So whenever we ask any of the fitness people that work there, we're told that it's on the list, it's on the list. I'm so sick of hearing it's on the list.
I unfortunately found the leisure complex an improvement. The daycare is removed from the leisure complex and replaced with a youth teenage hangout. Also, my wife is an instructor and used to teach there quite a bit. But without daycare now, she has no choice but to, you know, be a sub there, a sub only, and look elsewhere for work.
Appreciated the fact that we were able to use the complex during construction and suffer through all the pain and suffering. Renovations did nothing at all for the squash community. You know, they've taken away a bunch of things that we had. And also just to re-echo the fact that, you know, what I was kind of supremely disappointed in is, you know, everything else seemed to get a facelift. I mean, the men's change room in the pool area is the same, you know, same old school piece of kind of dirty area that it's been pre-renovation. I mean, it wasn't retiled, wasn't retrofitted, you know, nothing happened to it. I just, you know, think that was a bit of a gross oversight, because it's almost, I feel like I'm part of the have-nots and, you know, in Big Brother Canada.
We had a yoga class. I was just there the other day, and Wayne's here. I just would recognize him, and him and Diana had to quick respond to someone that had passed out during one of the, I think they called it the Boomers ABC, and quick attention. It wasn't serious, but they were there to help and stabilize the person until the ambulance came.